All right, let's now continue with our coverage. And Third Way Alliance's presidential candidate, Ekuru Aukot, is expected to move to the High Court seeking inclusion of other candidates in the October 17th election. He says the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission misdirected itself to the law by referring to the interpretation of the Supreme Court in 2013. IEBC announced on Monday that a fresh election ordered by the Supreme Court will held on the 17th of October, and it will only be between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. All right, and now I'm joined on phone by Third Way Alliance's presidential candidate, Ekuru Aukot. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on News Center. So first things first, what is your reaction to this particular decision by IBC to lock out all the other candidates?
Well, first, it's a rushed decision by IBC. It's also one that displays total ignorance on the part of Chebukati, as the chair of IEBC, to fail to interpret the orders of the Supreme Court as delivered on the 31st, but also is one that is just creating confusion as to what the court in 2013 decided. Now, if you read Betty, the paragraph 290 and 291 of the 2013 petition, the judges spoke on what they mean by a fresh election. They spoke about the nature of the petition itself to overturn a presidential petition. So the nature of any petition, I think, so far are two, based on the decision of the Supreme Court. One of the 2013 was about a runoff rather. The Raila went to court to argue that what I got was not my figures. I got more than Uhuru, and he was asked to prove whether that was true, and that's why he could not win then. And therefore, the judges said that if we were to overturn the decision of the president-elect, then we now need to go into understanding what is the nature of a fresh election mean in that context. In that context, it means the person who argued that this should be a runoff then should be the person who will compete with the president-elect in the next fresh election. Now, let's come to 2017. The nature of the presidential petition in 2017 was to say, one, there was really no presidential election conducted in accordance with the dictates of the Constitution and the law. That is the nature. And therefore, the judges said then there was no valid presidential election done. That's why they invalidated and declared the presidential election to have been null and void, meaning there was actually no election conducted in accordance with the dictates of the law. And that's why they now ordered a fresh election to be repeated. They talk of repeat fresh election, which means all the 8 candidates, if they elect, could actually participate in the election. And by the way, if you go back to 2013, 291, the judges also used a discretionary phrase that all other candidates may elect. So there is even a discretionary power on the parties who participate in an election, just like now.
Right.
If I choose to participate, that is my right. But in this particular case, in this particular today's Supreme Court ruling, the nature of it is such that there was actually no presidential election conducted in accordance with the law. So it affected everybody else. The truth for the matter is that Chebukati announced the win using only 29,000 forms. The question we took to court, there were 40,883 supposed from 34As, because that's about the polling station.
Right.
Where are these other forms? How did you announce the results? So the question was, there were no results. You shouldn't have announced these results. That's why it was invalidated and declared null and void. So there was really no presidential votes or results to announce anybody a winner. In other words, there was no winner. And if there was no winner, then you have to repeat the polls fresh.
All right, so you're saying that IBC misinterpreted in interpreting that 2013 ruling. So you've said that you're going to be going to the High Court. When is this going to be happening? Because looking at the timelines, really, we only have about 40 days to go.
First of all, Betty, I'm not going to the High Court. I'm going back to the Supreme Court based on the same case. Remember, It is the same IEBC that is not even speaking a similar language of Jubilee, saying that the judges need to give us their full reasoning. So then why are they rushing to declare only 2 candidates as the only ones who will be in the fresh poll when they have not received the full judgment, text of the judgment? Now, I'm going back to the Supreme Court to ask the judges, please clarify for me what you mean by invalid presidential election, null and void. And of course, the answer will be that all of you 8 candidates, if you so elect to participate, should actually, take part. And by the way, even assuming that Raila did not go to court, Betty, do you know, under Article 258 of the Kenya Constitution, any other Kenyan could have actually gone to court to invalidate this presidential result. And therefore, the court could have still reached a similar verdict, which is repeat the polls. So, was IBC going to declare the petitioner a presidential candidate if they did not even participate in the first election? Of course not.
Interesting. Finally, Dr. let's talk about, there have been, conversations that whether you should join forces with NASA, because really you are on their side during the petition. Maybe if this is the time that you should join forces and go at it together instead of running really alone, because really going back to the numbers, even maybe you stand a better chance in being together with NASA, joining forces with NASA. Those are just conversations that have been ongoing since you made that announcement yesterday.
No, I mean, come on. I'm a party leader. Third Way is a fully registered political party. The courts have said that there was no way anybody could have announced the winner. So is it even true that I got the 27 or is it 30,000? Well, I don't even know. I think the portal is still counting. Is it even true? So I think we cannot begin to build our house, and when we see a neighbor has completed his house, we go into the neighbor's house. We are going to build Third Way Alliance as a party, and the only way to build Third Way Alliance as a party is to put issue-based politics out there to participate in our democratic process, and that's what we are going to do. I'm not joining NASA because I don't want to kill my party. I'm very proud of what Third Way Alliance stands for. There's a big difference between Third Way Alliance, NASA, and Jubilee, and to be on the side of to be seen to have been on the side of NASA because of this court case, I think I have no regrets to make, because it was about fighting justice for the people of Kenya. Even if today the devil and I ganged up together for justice, I wouldn't mind being on that side of the devil. If the devil, says, let's get justice for the people of Kenya, I will still do it. So I don't think, and people have said this of me, oh, Mara, you are NASA, Mara, you are Jubilee. So I don't even know which one is which. And secondly, the politics of this country, Betty, cannot be defined on the premise or on the Raila or Uhuru. There are many other Kenyans, good Kenyans out there who could also still be leaders in this country, and many capable. And let me just add this, and I hope Kenyans are listening. The state of affairs the country is in right now, because of our fixation for these 2 leaders or 2 families or family names. Look at the uncertainty this presidential election is causing. Supposing Kenyans had said, oh, there were 6 other Kenyans actually who were capable, who had qualified under Article 138. Believe you me, Kenya will have moved over right now. Earlier on, I was watching one of your shows that there's now uncertainty, economic uncertainty, business has gone down, just because we are fixated on 2 individuals who I do not even think have got a better programs for the country than the one that we have. And I keep on asking Kenyans, go compare our respective manifestos, that of Third Way Alliance, Jubilee, and...
Now you're campaigning. Now you're campaigning, Dr. Ari. But really...
Don't forget your vote.
But really, finally, before we get to the votes and who gets what, I mean, you were not the petitioner. NASA was the petitioner. So it feels like, quite a number of quarters are saying, are you getting on the backs of this particular success that they got at the Supreme Court just to have a second stab in this, presidential election?
Betty, imagine a situation where the supposed, say, 5 million Kenyans all filed petitions. The nature of legal proceedings is that it does not matter who actually goes to court. That's why the court invites people either as petitioners or interested parties or even amicus curiae. So in this particular case, again, I'll remind Kenyans, look at Article 258 of the Kenya Constitution. Any Kenyan could have gone to court and say this constitution has been contravened. and therefore overturned the outcome of the presidential election, and IEBC could have still been ordered to repeat based on the application of that other interested Kenyans. So let's not put too much meaning and weight on the petitioner being Raila Amolo Odinga alone. After all, today, can we also say that because the petition did not include William Samoei Ruto as a co-petitioner, a co-respondent, because they only involved Uhuru Kenyatta, and yet the petition was about Raila and Kalonzo Musyoka petitioning the court to declare the results of Uhuru Kenyatta invalid. So are we going to lock William Ruto now from the rest because he was not mentioned in the petition? Of course not. So,
all right.
So I think the way proceedings are taken in court is that any person interested on a matter, on subject matter, could actually come on board. In this particular case, I was a participant in this election.
All right.
I even demonstrated, by the way, Betty, that we actually filed an audit report. We are the only party that filed an audit report exposing the irregularities and illegalities which the judges agreed with us. So why should I be locked out? Yeah.
All right, interesting. So when are you moving to the Supreme Court to get the advice that you're seeking? Is it today?
Today.
All right,
yes.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Speaking to Dr. Ekuru Aukot, the third.